morning. Good morning. Can you hear me? Good. Yeah? Yeah? Good morning, everyone. It's Monday, final day. We're here. Thank you for, it's early, I know. We all have coffee. I'm very grateful for hosting this panel about my two favorite films of the year, Emilia Pérez and Queens of Drama. And we have the amazing creative teams here today, and they're gonna explain all the creative process of how to produce, supervise, and to write, compose for a musical. Thank you.
Thank you, Emeline. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being there so early. It's not that early, actually, but it feels like it. So it's really nice for you to be here. So as Emily said, we are talking about two French examples of musicals, two great movies. Emilia Pérez by Jacques Audiard and Queens of Drama by Alexis Langlois. Before presenting my amazing team right here, we just have to take a look to the trailers. So first, I think it's Emilia Pérez. So for this conversation, we have amongst us Pierre-Marie Drew, music supervisor of Emilia Pérez. Maybe you want to add something on your work on Emilia Pérez before.
I'm the music supervisor, and most of the work was the executive music production during more than 4 years.
Ines, Daien, Dasi, you are a producer at Les Films du Poisson and producer of Queens of Drama. Do you want to add something to your presentation?
I wanted to apologize for Alexis, who couldn't come, the director of Queens of Drama. They were very sad, but yeah, couldn't make it. But we're very happy to be here.
Yeah, but the flu, that's the biggest subject right now. And then Pierre Desprats, or Desprats, composer for Queens of Drama.
Yes.
Yes, do you want to add something again to your presentation?
Nice to meet you.
Which is very nice, and nice to meet you as well. So my first question is for the three of you. Maybe we can start with Ines. Is Queens of Drama was supposed to be a musical? Was it always supposed to be a musical?
Yes, right from the start. But we didn't really developed it and financed it, marketing the musical term, because we were a bit scared that it would, label the film and make it complicated to find the budget, especially because it's a queer film, so it's already a challenge in itself. So yes, it was written and made like a musical, but we didn't label it that way until actually when it came out in Cannes this year.
Yeah, and everybody said it's a musical, so you...
Exactly, but I think it was the first time we mentioned it,
And Pierre-Marie, for Emilia Pérez, was it always a musical as well?
Not at all.
Not at all.
Now, during 2 years at the beginning, Jacques was thinking doing kind of Three Pennies opera, something like this. So he started working with Camille and Clément, working like kind of libretto. And at one point, it was complicated for him to match the story and the songs. And he decided to do kind of podcast to have, the music match with the story. So we record that during 2 or 3 months, and after that we do like sound effects and many things, like a small movie. And so he said, we're gonna do a movie, and it starts to be a musical.
So through a podcast and then a musical. So you mentioned it, Ines. You said you didn't mention it was a musical until its release in Cannes. The first time it was shown in Cannes, and you talked about budget-wise. So how do you budget for a musical? How do you budget that kind of movie?
You mean, how do you find the money, or how do you just spread out the...
How do you what do you need money-wise for that kind of movie?
Well,
what is specific for a musical that you don't have maybe on another kind of movie?
so many things.
So many things.
So many things. And like I think the biggest challenge is that you have to start really early before you start shooting. So we actually started composing the music a year before shooting. So you need to be able to pay the people who are gonna compose and record, and it's a whole thing. So you have to not make a podcast necessarily, but you have to do a small production on the side, and it's like producing a record while producing a movie. You're always doing two things at the same time, and even during shooting, the music keeps evolving, and then during post-production, you still have to work on it. So basically, it's like two works of art at the same time. So yeah, you have to be very on point.
And also, Pierre-Marie, you in the budget, because we were talking earlier, and you told me that there's part of the budget of a movie dedicated to music that is very short, especially in France. But in the case of a musical, how does it work?
In this movie, it was we have a very good budget to work the music. It's not true.
Okay.
See you.
Okay.
How do you create those songs? How do you create for a musical the music? How do you compose, and how do you create songs? And I'm looking at you, Pierre, for that. How did you create and work? Because there's so many artists working also on Queens of Drama, like Rebecca Warrior, for example. I don't know if you were there last night, but Rebecca Warrior, but also Yale, for example. So how did you write those songs for the musical?
So I wrote two songs and the score, and it was also for the songs a teamwork, because Yael, Rebecca Warrior, Mona Soyok, and Louise Bizou worked on a few songs. How do you work on that? The first thing you have is the lyrics. It's written. You have the livret. I don't know how to call it, but you have this information, and also the intention of mise en scène. So you start to think, what do we need for this song? In Queen of Dramas, there is a specificity. Music should... Harold, I'm panicking. La musique, elle doit représenter une époque.
Must stand for an era, for some time.
Okay. Did you hear? Okay. So since it's a story told by a YouTuber in 2055, it's like a tale, and you go back to 2005 and 2015, and so you have to embody the genre of those era. So it was like the guide to imagine what will be the music, and it was the guide to choose to work with Rebecca Warrior, that was making music with Sexy Sushi in 2005, and Mona Soyok, that was like an idol of the 80s in France in the cold wave scene, and working with me, I don't know for which era, but maybe for 2015, I don't know, this is my era. So this was the guide to imagine the music, and yeah.
And is it... yeah.
Can I
Ines, yes, of course.
Yeah, and I mean, Alexis Langlois, the director, was extremely precise in their frame of reference. They knew exactly how they wanted the music to sound, and so I don't know, like you had 1,000 references from Alexis. Like it was very, very clear.
You work on the lyrics, no?
Yes, of course. They worked on the lyrics very precisely, but then the other artists also participated in the lyrics as well. But what I wanted to add is that the specificity of Queens of Drama is that we worked with many artists, and when we started meeting music supervisors with Alexis, everybody told us, never ever do that. Like if you want to do a musical, you work with one person. just one person, because it's so complicated already. Do not multiply the people you're going to have to talk to and the people who are going to create the music. And I don't know, we met maybe 5 or 6 people. They all said that, and indeed it was a bit complicated, but it was also like the very essence of the film, because as Pierre said, we really needed to have a strong identity for each era and each singer.
And I guess I had a particular role because it was kind of artistic supervision, because I was talking to Alexis and all the other artists since I was doing the score, and so I had this role of unifying the whole music DNA.
Yeah, because we wanted it to sound very differently from one artist to another, but at the same time be coherent and, yeah, really like compose an album, actually. So it was very important for us to have Pierre, who was really like the warranty that we had this unity, even though everything was quite different. We really wanted it to sound movie-like, in a way.
Because it's a movie. So. And again, Pierre, because you said you composed the score as well. So how do you compose a score when there are also music that people are singing during the movie and there are those specific songs? And how do you compose the score with those songs? What is the role of the score at that point? It's different, I guess, from another classic movie?
Not that much in a way. The difference is that you already have the theme. Like the songs gives you the theme, and so you have to think, how are we going to switch from the score to the songs, and how are we going to switch from singing to extra diegetic music. And you have a guide. You are more guided to compose the score when you're in a musical, which is kind of interesting. And for me, it was all in post-production. I started to work on songs, and I had a few ideas. But the whole score happens during editing. Yeah.
And I asked a similar question to Clément Ducol and Camille from Emilia Pérez, because they're in Los Angeles right now, so it's hotter than in here. And so I asked them the question: how is it to compose and create songs? What is the difference between a musical, an album, and a classic movie? I mean. It was 8 in the morning when they answered me.
Alors, c'est différent parce que, enfin, pour moi, il y a des éléments de dramaturgie très, très importants. Il faut qu'il y ait des éléments de suspense, de dévoilement, d'ouverture de rideau, de fermeture de rideau, de dramatisation de la chute d'Emilia, par exemple, à la fin. Ouais, il y a tous ces éléments qui rentrent en compte. Mais sinon, pour moi, ça touche au même endroit, ça touche au cœur. Et quand j'écris pour une scène ou pour un personnage, en fait, finalement, ça passe par le même endroit que pour une chanson ou que quand je fais une reprise, par exemple. En fait, ça me touche. Cette histoire m'a touchée de A à Z. Et c'est passé par le cœur, en fait. J'avais déjà écrit pour Ratatouille et j'avais déjà chanté la chanson de Ratatouille et écrit pour Le Petit Prince avec Hans Zimmer. Mais cette fois-ci, c'est pour des personnages réels, ou, enfin en tout cas des personnages de fiction qui s'inscrivent dans une réalité qui est celle du Mexique aujourd'hui. Mais ce que j'ai apprécié, c'est que ça m'a donné la légitimité pour parler d'une réalité euh, qui n'est pas la mienne, mais pour laquelle je ressens de la compassion, ce que vivent les gens là-bas. Et puis pour parler d'une réalité qui n'est pas la mienne, qui est la transition d'Emilia, mais qui touche à mon masculin et mon féminin intime, et qui est quelque chose d'assez universel, je trouve.
Pour moi, c'est pas très différent dans l'écriture même d'une chanson. Parce que moi, quand je travaille sur des albums, je considère que c'est comme un livre, comme une histoire qu'on raconte du début à la fin, donc du premier titre jusqu'au dernier titre de l'album. J'appartiens aussi à une génération où on écoutait les disques du début à la fin, et pas, enfin, on écoute les disques du début à la fin, et pas une chanson Voilà. Donc, écrire une chanson, moi, j'ai toujours en tête des images. Quand je fais un arrangement, quand je produis une chanson ou que je compose une chanson, j'ai toujours des images dans la tête, donc comme un film en fait. Donc, pour moi, bizarrement, c'est pas différent ça. Par contre, par rapport à la musique d'un film normal, là, les chansons racontent l'histoire, évidemment, plus peut-être qu'un score. Donc, on est un peu auteur du film. Et dans la réalisation, après de tout ça, on a un rapport beaucoup plus serré, beaucoup plus étroit avec les comédiens, puisque c'est eux qui vont interpréter nos chansons. Donc, on se sent un peu comme eux, on se sent un peu comme l'auteur du film ou comme un autre comédien avec eux, quoi. On est dans la même énergie de raconter cette histoire en chanson. Donc, ça nous permet, nous, par rapport à un film normal, d'être dans un rapport beaucoup plus intime avec les comédiens qui
Oui,
interprètent sur le film, et donc de travailler avec eux beaucoup plus en studio, de travailler aussi avec des voix qui sont pas forcément des voix de chanteurs. Donc ça, voilà, faut se faire à tout ça. Et puis je dirais qu'après, il y a une phase aussi en post-production où cette fois, on est tous au service d'une image, parce que l'image existe. Au début, on écrit des chansons sans image. Et après, il y a cette image qui existe. Et là, les arrangements, par contre, doivent refléter vraiment ce qui se passe à l'image. Donc là, on est plus proche d'une écriture d'une musique de film, mais à travers l'arrangement de la chanson, on doit se fondre à l'image, quoi.
And maybe Pierre, what Clément and Camille just said, maybe it resonates at some point, or do you feel like kind of the same experience on the way to?
I don't know if I can speak like that about the process of having an idea and how it came. I don't know if I can verbalize it, but what resonates is the work with interprets and actors, the fact that you work with voices and non-trained voices, specific bodies, moving, singing. So you start to write a song, imagine it as an album, then it will be interpreted on a set, and you'll have to match what the body is doing with the intensity of the voice and what needs the mise en scène. And this is the tricky question for me. So I guess that in Emilia Pérez you have direct sound, which is not the same in Queen of Dramas. This is a difference in those two movies. And for us, it was how to direct in studio the interpret to have the right emotion that fits what's happening on the screen. And you still can work in post-production on this specific emotion, which is a big chance. Like you still can change the voices of the interpret, and you can do that in any other genre.
So I ask another question to Camille and Clément. It was how to work with Jacques Audiard and how he was involved in the creation of the songs and the music.
Avec Jacques, ça s'est fait en trois phases, comme souvent les comédies musicales. Au début, il nous a laissé totalement libre de créer tout ce qu'on voulait, parce il voulait nous engager dès le début de la construction du scénario. On n'avait pas de scénario, on avait juste une nouvelle d'à peu près 20-30 pages, un traitement, à partir duquel nous, on pointait du doigt les moments qui faisaient chanson. Donc, on était avec Thomas Vidguin, son collaborateur, dans le sud de la France, et on lisait le traitement le matin. L'après-midi, on allait écrire nos chansons. Eux, ils venaient écouter. Ils jubilaient souvent parce que ça leur permettait de gagner plein de pages de scénario et de passer plus vite à la scène d'après. Et le soir, on regardait des comédies musicales pour s'inspirer. Euh, voilà, donc au début, c'était très enrichissant. On a l'impression d'être dans une masterclass de scénaristes et de metteurs en scène. C'était assez génial. Après, il y a la phase du tournage où là, clairement, les chansons, enfin, tournage, prépa et tournage, donc prépa avec tout le casting des acteurs principaux, actrices principales en l'occurrence, mais aussi de tous les chœurs, tous les danseurs. Donc, il faut offrir ces chansons au cast, les faire répéter. Et ensuite, sur le tournage, on est beaucoup plus au service de toute une fourmilière de gens qui travaillent l'image. Donc là, on est un peu en sourdine musicalement. On était entouré de Lucille Chriqui, qui, euh, qui, a, qui était directrice musicale sur le plateau, qui a fait répéter tous les comédiens et qui s'assurait juste que le travail musical était bien respecté. Mais sinon, on est vraiment clairement au service de l'image, de la caméra, de la lumière, de tout ça, des décors. Et ensuite, il y a une troisième phase qui est la phase de post-production où là, on met tout ensemble, quoi. On met tous nos jouets ensemble et on essaie de faire en sorte que ça ressemble à un joli petit livre. Et c'est la phase aussi où nous, on a écrit le score, c'est-à-dire tout ce qui n'est pas la chanson.
Et le rapport avec Jacques, il change au fur et à mesure de ça. Au début, bah, on est dans notre cocon d'écriture avec Jacques et Thomas Bidguin, tous les quatre pendant quand même 2 ans. Ensuite, dans le tournage, bah, on reste en relation, mais Jacques, il est plus stressé, hein. Je veux dire, il a une équipe énorme à gérer, il est sur ses comédiennes, donc voilà, nous on est plus en retrait, c'est plus technique finalement comme travail. Et ensuite, c'était plus un rapport avec lui et sa monteuse euh, Juliette. Euh, moi, ce que je dirais, c'est que Jacques, j'ai jamais vu quelqu'un avec autant de ténacité. Voilà.
Again, I'm looking at you, Ines and Pierre, and can you relate about the experience of working with Alexis on those music and how you mentioned it a little bit, Pierre, but how involved he was, and you mentioned it, Ines, as well, how Alexis was involved in the creation and the process of the creation of the music.
You want to start? Oh, okay. No, but that's interesting because I feel like you started to work really earlier with Alexis. I came at a late stage of imagining the music, so maybe.
Yeah, it was pretty clear from the very beginning that we wanted to work with Rebecca Warrior for the character of Billy Colère. So we actually worked with her on Alexis' previous short, so it was easy to access and to discuss with her. And Alexis knew that they wanted the sound of Sexy Sushi, Rebecca's band from
early 2000s.
Yeah, when we were young. So yeah, the work with Rebecca was extremely easy, it seems, from my point of view. I wasn't there with them, but they knew exactly where they wanted to go. We knew also that Yale was a very strong option to make the music of Mimi Madamo because they were like the pop band, also early 2000. It was a bit more difficult to access them, but we managed to do it. I think the biggest challenge with Yale and Rebecca Warrior and the other one in the work with Alexis is that they never actually did, Rebecca a little bit, but they never really did music for films. So the biggest challenge was to explain them how different it was from doing their own music. Like, we wanted their identity, everything they had to bring to the project, but at the same time, it was Alexis' work, Alexis' vision. So it was a bit complicated, and Pierre really helped us with that, to find the right balance between their identity and Alexis. So I think the work at the beginning with them was that finding the right voices for everyone. But then Alexis was involved all the way. Yeah. Until, like, on set, Alexis was singing at the same time as the actress. Like, we were shooting and Alexis was singing in the back, and I was like, oh my god, like, it must be so annoying for them. But then they were asking for it, because Alexis was like kept, like he did with the musicians, with the actresses. It was like giving the same energy and the same life, and so it was very beautiful to see this generosity up until the end.
Yeah. I worked with Moritz Reich, maybe easier, on the orchestration. And it's fun because when he started to orchestrate the music I wrote, he was electrified the same way I was electrified by Alexis without meeting her. And it's funny how it could pass through the music, the direction could pass through the notes to Moritz, to the orchestra. So yeah, working with Alexis was electrifying, and I felt like it was kind of a fusion for me. We spent a lot of time together, Only during shooting I wasn't there, but I had a lot of news and seeing element of the shooting. But yeah, it was like a small couple for me, and I liked it actually. It was like non-toxic.
And let's dive into the recordings of those songs. And because you mentioned, Pierre-Marie, that the post-production kind of happened before the movie sometimes. Can you take us through the process of recording the songs for Emilia Pérez?
Yes. In fact,
Sorry, do you hear it well?
Oh,
do you hear him well?
I can speak a little bit louder.
My mic.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, it's okay. Yes, what is very important is to be ready for the shooting. So we need to end the songs before the shooting, and the most complicated is the lyrics. In the case of Emilia, also it was in Spanish or Mexican, so we have to check everything because we were all French, and it was a very a big subject for everybody. So we ran with many accent coach that help us and to think about the songs. And when it was ready, we record just a few weeks before the shooting, all the cast, everybody. And the idea of Jacques for Emilia was to really have the real voice of the actresses and everybody, Marc Ivanir and the four main actresses. And so they were in studio in Paris, and we record everybody because we did this movie 90% in studio close to Paris, in Saint-Denis and Brie-sur-Marne, Viva Mexico. So we have this story about the lyrics. It's very important, but also we need the playback for the shooting. And at the beginning, Jacques wanted to, because we have also choreography, and he really wanted to use this playback. And the first day of the rehearsal, he thought, maybe it's not like this that I'm doing a movie usually, and I really want to direct the cast and have something, a connection with them. So we did the first sequence in music of the movie. The first one we shoot, it was El Alegato in the market at the beginning of the movie. And the first day of the rehearsal with the extra and the dancers, everybody were singing, it was a show. And Jacques wanted, I want this show every day, in fact. So we called some sound engineers and some other. Clément was talking about lucid tricky. We did an amazing job on the set with Carolina Santana from Venezuela, and so we did this kind of show every day when it was music on set. And so we record everybody. That was the second stage of the production. I mean, for the voice, that's the main thing at the beginning. And after that, we did the post-production, so we have post-synchro and this kind of classic stuff. That's what's for the main voices, but also we have choir and this kind of thing. So, for example, we record one choir before the shooting, so we can do post-synchro during the shooting. So there was no trick. It was different for every song. So we have to prepare. That was my job, to prepare that before the shooting. And after, as Clément said, we record most of the music on post-production, more in a classic way. We have very nice demo from Clément. And we record, it was it was 4 or 5 years of work, Emilia Pérez, but we record this in 1 month running with everybody. A little bit of pop band, classic instrument, voices. We have a team in Mexico, so we did the remote sessions to record, for example, the kid who sings Papa, and also all the choir. And we end the shooting with this final sequence at the end with the procession, which was done live during the shooting.
If I'm following, if I'm right, you recorded the songs before and re-recorded them during the shooting?
Yeah, exactly. We did.
So there's 2 versions of the songs?
3, because after that we did in post-synchro other things. In fact, we kept, the energy and the amazing way to play the songs by the actresses, and we used that on the final version. And at the beginning, it was very well sound, very nice, in in the preparation. We did that when we record the playback before the shooting, and when they are on the set, I mean the emotion. That was the main word for Jacques. Know what we can feel with this movie and this story. And so they gave a lot of many things, Carla, Zoe, Selena, everybody, Adriana, she's amazing at the end of the movie. And so we kept it in the music. It was very special to see Clément and Camille watching that, because Camille is an amazing singer and Clément too. And for example, Carla Sofia was not singing at all at the beginning of this story. And so we worked 2 years with her. She was living in Madrid, she traveled in Mexico, and always working a lot. It was amazing to see her, like a kid. It was better and better each day, and at the end she sang everything. And for Camille Clément, it was a bit something a bit difficult, because, as they said, you gave your song to the cast, and it's not sung exactly like they want, but at the end they prefer it because it's more connect with the movie. And Camille always says something that I think is very important and very true. She said that the music don't reflect the movie. It was woven in with it, and we really work like this with a sound team, with the choreography, with everybody, and every stage changed something in the movie. And that's why Jacques said it's a transgender movie. It's true for everybody, for all the characters in the movie, and how we build this movie.
And I think it was different in Queens of Drama, a matter of recording the songs. So it happened mainly before Pierre, the recordings?
No, there were also those 2 steps, like you start to write the song, you have to record them to create the playback on which the actors and actress will lip sync or sing live. It depends on the movies. For us, it was lip syncing. And after, you have to re-record those voices depending on how it was interpreted. For us, the main problem was the money. We couldn't do a lot of recording and research, and we had to do with moyen du bord, Harold. Yeah, the means we had. So I'm used to do a lot of things by myself. So I sang the 2 songs I wrote, I recorded all the instruments, and I created the demo for the shooting. It was the same for Rebecca and Yael. We had all the moyens de production, means of production. Yeah. To help us on this short economy movie. We had to find specific voices, but maybe you can speak about the voice cast on Mimi Madamo.
Yeah, because for us, like, at first we wanted to dub both actresses because they are both singers, and we needed their voices. But then Joe, who plays Billy Colère, said, "Oh, I'm so good at karaoke. Maybe I can, try out and we'll see." And actually, Joe was quite good. So we had a vocal coach who worked with him for like 6 months before.
Learn to scream because
yes,
it's a
for a metal voice. Yeah, so Joe actually sang. But for Louisa, it was more complicated because she plays a pop star, and basically Alexis was looking for Mariah Carey, for the voice. So it was.
Yeah, it's not everyone.
Nope. Even like with a voice coach, So our music supervisor helped us doing the voice cast, and which is a very special step. Like, it's very strange because they send you a lot of tracks of just women singing, and you're like, okay, well, you have to match the face and the character with those voices you don't know. But actually, it was quite obvious because we met through listening to her, Ambrielle, who is doing the voice, and right away we knew it was her, and she did an amazing job. And for the other voices, well, Mona Soyok did her own, and Asia Argento was supposed to sing. So we worked on the shooting with your demos, but then when she had to record, like, actually didn't feel like it. Like she said, I don't feel comfortable. Like there was something with the character. Like she didn't. It didn't work for her. So we had to find very late during the post-production a new voice, which was an interesting thing because we were in a big rush and out of mints again. So yeah. But until the end, like until 2 weeks ago when we released the soundtrack, we kept working on the songs.
Yeah.
So never ending.
It's a never-ending story. And also a question of means, as you said. Maybe you have questioned the audience for our three amazing people there. Yeah? No.
Hello.
Translator and asking questions. Amazing.
Yes.
Every role are rolled.
Yeah, they have a brain, yeah.
Oh, wow.
But I'm a producer and a film programmer as well. We're not talking about the big elephant in the room there, which is France is not a territory for musicals, and it has never been. In the 50s, the American MGM musicals were not doing very much business in France. And if you look at the figures of Wicked recently in France, it's a fraction of the US and UK box office. So and I was interested also to see the American trailer for Emilia Pérez because it states very clearly that it is a musical. The French trailer, there's hardly dance and there's no singing in it. There's no. It's really was not deliberately marketed by Pathé.
We were producing the songs. It was not finished.
No, I don't think that was the real reason. So I'd like to address this in terms of production. How do you go against the current? How do you produce a musical in France? Because the early films of Jacques Demy made business, but after that, the musicals, French musicals in France, never actually did. So, and it's more costly in a way.
Well, that's exactly. That's a very good question. That's why I introduced by saying that I never used the word musical when I was trying to find money for the film. I was using the word rise and fall, romantic comedy, queer melodrama, whatever, but always forgetting the musical. And people were asking me, "Oh, there is a lot of music. There are a lot of songs in the script." And I go, "Yeah, but because it's the story of singers, but it has nothing to do with the musical." So I was kind of avoiding this word, and yeah, that's basically how I made it. But it's I don't know why it's so complicated and why it's not in our culture, but. Because we all love musicals, it's just amazing. But no, and then for the marketing, it's also a big question, and we tried to find a way to make it sexy and modern, in the trailers and the way we talked about the film. Yeah, but.
But I agree, film people love musicals, but the audience hardly does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you think that it's now different to finance a musical because of Emilia Pérez in your film and other films like Kneecap as well? They're becoming more and more successful musicals. So would it be easier for you now to finance the film? And do name the word musical in the finance.
Well, actually, it's very interesting because the CNC, our public fund in France, actually had what they called a genre film fund for a few years. And I think the second or third year, it was a musical. So they were like helping 3 musicals a year with a special grant, and we thought this would make musicals cool again, and because suddenly there were like a lot. But it didn't change anything, so no, I'm not very optimistic about it. Even though Emilia Pérez is a big success, I don't know. I have no confidence in that.
Well, if I may so, Emilia Pérez is a big success internationally, but the figures in the box office in France were disappointing on the distribution side. I mean, they were expecting to do 3 million, they just did 1.
Seems a lot to me, but yeah.
Yeah, sure, of course. But I mean, in terms of cost,
yes.
In terms of budget, I think Pathé was expecting more.
Yeah.
Do you have questions? Do you want to sing?
I have a question.
Yeah.
how is it to what is the process, or is it complicated to release a soundtrack?
It is in France a lot. I worked before Emilia Pérez on Annette, Léos Carrac's movie, and for only know those two musicals or musical films. I don't know how you say that. But for both of them, it was complicated because we don't have so many labels who wants to, release a soundtrack. So it's always complicated, yes. And for example, it was for many reasons, but the release of the double vinyl and CDs is on next Friday for Emilia Pérez. It's a bit sad that we don't have it at the same time at the movie. But it's sad, that's true. For me, I start working like a music supervisor 20 years ago, and I have my CDs of all, the soundtrack, and I love that. And so I'm very sad that it's not like this on every movie, because I think it's amazing, the soundtracks.
And it means like you must find a record labels to release it. Or?
It's not exactly the same product at the end. When you work, for example, for Annette or Emilia Pérez, we need to rework the song, because in the editing room, for example, Juliette, the song at the beginning was like three minutes. At the end, it's like 1 minute and 20 seconds, and you won't go on an LP with this kind of length. So we have to rework. You have to rework the track, the song, even the score. And so it takes time, money, so we will pay. And also you have to remix sometimes, because we did that in Atmos for Emilia Pérez, but nice stereo mix for your cars or radio, you need something different for your ears, and after mastering and everything, and after the artwork and a lot of things. And so you need it's another craft, and you need time and money to do that, and the people who need to help you for that. And it's not in the production mind that it's so important. So I hope it will change.
And for Queens of Drama, did you release the soundtrack?
We did, but it was a very complicated process, and like you, we were late on the release, and we still don't have a CD or vinyl, and I hope we'll have someday, but it's always a question of money, And yesterday when we were discussing it, I realized that I think maybe the problem is that we don't know whose job it is to release the soundtrack. Is it the producers? Is it the distributor? Because it's a marketing object, but it's following the film. It's not very clear. And I think we do not anticipate that in our budgets in production. So it always comes as a surprise, and we're like, oh, shit, we have to release the soundtrack, and we're not ready. But we should actually think about that before, and or, put it in the contracts with the distributors and just, act on it.
Not only musicals, every movie.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm talking about soundtracks in general. Yeah.
Hey, I'm so sorry for my voice. I yelled a lot on Rebecca Warrior yesterday.
I remember you.
Yeah. So I have one question for each team. I'll start with Pierre. As I told you yesterday, I think you did a brilliant job on switching from songs to score and orchestra. So I want to know more, if you want to talk a bit about it, because I don't like musical. And I think it was brilliant how I had this sensation of songs, but with all the delicate switch to score, it didn't feel like I was in a musical. So I really liked that. So well done. And for Pierre, I was thinking that because when I heard the soundtrack while watching the film, I was thinking that there was a lot of treatment on the voices, and I was thinking that's very smart. Is it related to the transition of the genre of the main character? Because there is games with the different timbre of the voices, and I was like, yeah. So yeah, can you tell more?
How to be smooth in the transition? For me, there's two elements to answer. It's a queer musical, so even in his genre, it's a weird musical, since it's a story of two singers. all the songs are related to a moment of music. It's not people walking and then they start to sing and there is a numéro. No, they are doing a clip or they start to express something that became a single, or they're in a prison and they start to kiss and dance and sing our big song, but it's a clip of a record, and you always have a kind of meta transition of why a song is existing and why we start to sing. So for me, this is why it's a queer feeling of a musical. And for me, this is the crazy idea of the movie and why it's so beautiful. It's like everything is a show. Like the musical is supposed to express something deep in a music way. You don't know how to say something, and then you start to sing it. And for Queen of Dramas, it's always on the show side and the fake side, and everything is a construction. And through this construction, you find love. So that was my idea to imagine the music. And since I had this specific transition and the themes of the song, I just tried to take a melody and split it and make it play by some instrument and make it smooth. No, it was not that complicated, but thank you.
Maybe you can talk about the mix, because it was an important I mean, you went back after seeing the film. We thought it was finished, but
you think you say the mix of the movie, not the mix of the music.
Of the movie, yes, because you.
No, I went to see a projection during the mixing, and
it was actually supposed to be done.
Yeah. Oops. No, because it's funny because you spend 8 months non-stop working on a lot of music and sound material, and you start to create an intensity. And the mixer of the movie was kind of outside the team. He came really late, so he discovered the movie and proposed an intensity, and it was not good. So we had to fight a lot to reconstruct the intensity we spent 8 months to build, because a guy just came 2 weeks and proposed something. For you, it was different. Like, you spoke a lot with Cyril, but for us, it was kind of the other problem of the means of production. We couldn't do a lot of meeting and construct the whole sound team and being all on the same wavelength. So yeah, I had to go to Brussels to try to help Alexis to say we're not happy, not because we are stupid fucks, but because we know what we want. And it was kind of a struggle, and I think we managed to balance. No more words, sorry.
To answer your question, I think it's important to talk about Carla Sofia Gascon, the actress, because in fact, when she was cast, it was to do to play Emilia, and she was the one who said to Jacques, "I will do Manitas too," and that was not the plan. And so, for sure, we worked the production of the music in the voices with Camille and Clément, the engineer on the set, Erwan Kerzanet. We were talking about Cyril Holtz, who did an amazing job on the movie with a re-recording mixer, and we did like meetings 1 year before the shooting, thinking the main question of Jacques said, "What is the sound of my movie?" So we need to find answers. It was complicated, and but the main thing is that we have this amazing actress who came and gave something very strong during the shooting, and after in the post-synchro, again, it was crazy to see her play both parts. And she's the one, we had like demos from Camille. All the song at the beginning, it was demos from Camille, or sometimes Clément when you have the doctor, played by Marc Ivania at the end. But Camille is an amazing singer, as I said before, and so it was very hard for Carla to sing the songs like El Amor at the end. It's very hard to sing it. And so she practiced. But for Manitas, it was completely impossible to do the first track called El Encuentro when they met in the car with Zoe Saldana, because it was one breath and on a beat like this, and Camille sing that it's a new kind of doing like rap or something. I don't know what it is. So for Carla it was impossible. So she invented something else during the shooting, and that's what we can hear now. And so it took a time for Camille to understand that it will be that, and Jack loved it, and so we use it. And after, sure, you work on the voice, you produce it a little bit, but working on voices, you know how it is. It's like 90% the performance of the singer that help you to have the good feeling. So Carla is amazing.
Yes, I think there's a mic coming to you.
Maybe the last question?
Yeah, I think so, unfortunately.
I just wanted to ask if you did first Manitas and then Emilia, or vice versa with Carla, or you have been jumping, because, I mean, elaborating a little bit on the question before.
Okay. On the preparation, like, it took 2 years. We cast Carla 2 years before the shooting. At this time we were thinking shoot in Mexico, many stories, but she practiced, you know, all the. She worked on all the Camille demos on both roles in the beginning, and during the shooting, it was not. There was no plan. I mean, we start, I think, with Emilia a little bit, and after, I'm not sure what I'm saying, but like after 3 weeks, I think we have all this sequence of Manitas, and I was there, and it was amazing to see.
Thank you very much. I think we have to stop the questions right now, and this nice, I would say, masterclass, but actually it's more of a round table. And thank you for the alarm, because you know, element of surprise. But yeah, thank you very much, Pierre, Ines, and Pierre-Marie, and thank you for your questions as well.
Go and see those 2 amazing films as soon as possible. They're like incredible. Thank you.
They are.